We've had door-to-door knocks where people have their homes barged into without cause of right. And we've had stores have to shutter, students not going to school. We've had reduction in employees going to.
Now, a new shooting, another shooting in Minneapolis. And in my opinion, this one here, yeah, they was out of line. They was out of line for doing him like that. They took the gun from him and unalived him. So it's starting to get out of hand out there. But at the same time, we should already know that, hey, that's what the people voted for. So it's the best thing to do is just stay out of their business. But some people is willing to risk their life behind this administration. Even though majority of the people voted for this, it's still a lot of people that's very, very, very against it and are really ready to risk their lives. But the thing we got to realize is that a lot of these people, I mean, this administration are basically going to label these people like terrorists. So they're letting us be known. And if you interfere in these federal agents' business, they're going to treat you like a terrorist. And that's something that we as Americans are not used to. We're not used to getting treated like a terrorist. And you're an American citizen. This guy, the one that unfortunately lost his life, he served in the military, went to the military for nursing, and he wanted to go out there and help some people and ended up losing his life. So let's listen to the reaction and the update that the Minnesota police and the mayor and the governor are giving us right now.
Their job sites. We've had jobs being little markets being shut down, restaurants being interfered with. We've had a countless number of harms, and so we took the action of suing the federal government over Operation Metro Surge. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to be in federal court with my team arguing for a restraining order against Operation Metro Surge. I filed this case almost 2 weeks ago, and this will be our first hearing. The lawsuit we filed is one that is caused by the unprecedented nature of this surge. It is a novel abuse of the Constitution that we're looking at right now. No one can remember a time when we've seen something like this, when a state can marshal facts to show that our targeting is not based on excessive amounts of undocumented immigrants or anything like that, but we're targeted because of politics, which violates our First Amendment rights. The 10th Amendment, which we are entitled as a state to equal sovereignty, and we have been denied that. The federal government is literally commandeering and coercing the state of Minnesota to bend to its will, which is the prerogative of the people of the state of Minnesota. Let me remind everybody, let me take everybody back to 8th grade civics. The states predate the United States and came into the Union preserving their rights as states to be the states that the citizens of those states want them to be within a constitutional framework. It is at the fundamental, it is in the DNA of American history that the federal government cannot trample over the prerogatives of the state. And that is exactly what is happening here, and that is exactly why we're going to court. This surge has drained local law enforcement time and resources. Jacob Fry, if he were here, could tell you that they've spent north of $2 million on overtime responding to ICE. They've damaged our economy, hurt our education system, and terrorized community members. And it must stop, and tomorrow is a big step in that direction. Now, as I noted a moment ago, people will ask, well, why Minnesota? I'll say this. Minnesota is dealing with targeted oppression from the federal government because of who we are and who we value. Minnesota is a place where we welcome the stranger. We have a number of nonprofits that focus on refugee resettlement in Minnesota. Minnesota is a place where we take care of the vulnerable among us. We're a state that just passed paid family leave. We're a state that believes in feeding our kids who are in school, and we're a state that believes that Minnesota is a great place to live for everyone, no matter where you were born. Of course, we obey all laws, but we still believe that immigration is not a sin. They're coming after our state, in my view, because of what we stand for, because we voted 3 times in favor of somebody not Donald Trump, which he has publicly said he resents deeply and believes is not even true. I can tell you it's not about fraud. Because if he sent people who understand forensic accounting, we'd be having a different conversation. But he's sending armed, masked men. This is a pretext, and it's not supported by the facts at all, which has brought us to court challenging the justification that the president has offered. For those watching around the country, I would submit to you that just as Portland and Chicago and LA were precursors to Minneapolis, Minneapolis is a precursor to a whole lot of other places that they have their eye on right here, right now, including Maine and several other states. If we don't stop this behavior here, it will only expand, and it won't be good for anyone in our country. Minnesota is staying strong, and I want to join Governor Walz in my just pride in being a Minnesotan. No football game victory could ever make me feel as good about our state as I do about people standing up, helping their neighbors, engaging in mutual aid, giving each other rides different places, making sure that there's enough groceries, protesting, using their First Amendment rights. This state has a lot of spirit. And Minnesota nice is a real thing. I wasn't fortunate enough to be born in Minnesota. I was born and grew up in Michigan. And I can tell you that this state has a lot of nice people. It really does. And a lot of people who believe in taking care of their neighbor and welcoming the stranger. And as we see right now, resisting tyranny. So I just want to say that as the courage of protesters and others who are helping their neighbors is so evident on the streets of this great state of ours, we at the Attorney General's office and in Minnesota state government can do no less than match the courage you have already shown. And we will not back down, we won't blink, we won't bow. We will stand firmly on our constitutional rights and in favor of Minnesotans. We will do that in the ballot box, at the courts. We will do that in the streets in a peaceful, legal, First Amendment protected way. And we will do it in a multitude of ways. But one thing we will not do is we will not back down and we will not bend. And so let me wrap up by saying this. We will never forget Alex Preddy. We will never forget Renee Nicole Good. And we will never forget any of the Minnesotans who have suffered so unjustifiably in this time. Minnesota is a great place. That is why I believe we've been targeted. But it's not going to work. And we'll be in court tomorrow arguing for the rights of every Minnesotan to stand up and be the generous, courageous people that we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General. We'll be glad to take some questions. Tom? Well, first of all, it's not a serious attempt, and the Attorney General sent that in. I would thank the local folks and Commissioner Snell. A great thank you to you and your team over there. In that letter, they talked about, you need to hand people over who are in your jails. They're taking credit for people that we've had in jail for a long time. We always hand them over to the Commissioner very clearly. So they're lying. They're lying. This has nothing to do with fraud. As the Attorney General said, they're not sending us forensic accountants. And these are things that have been we're dealing with now and have been for quite some time. So look, it's not a serious attempt to get at this. The way to fix this is get these folks out of here. We've continued to work with them. They asked us for these numbers. We provided them. We continue to show they're not serious. And look, I think everybody understands what the last request was, totally unrelated to anything on the voter files. This is, again, as the Attorney General said, Donald Trump telling everybody that the election was rigged, who started all this nightmare for America. Has nothing to do with it. And I would just give a pro tip to the Attorney General. There's 2 million documents in the Epstein files. We're still
What up, yeah?
work on those.
Hello, John. How you doing?
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked it because, since Trump 2 began, and even including Trump 1, we filed a lot of lawsuits. We're north of 50 now, and they've been on everything from birthright citizenship to SNAP to things like the National Institute of Health to EV to all kinds of things, and they've been complying with the orders. Now, I will say they foot drag. We've had to threaten them with contempt a few times, and I'm not saying that the compliance has been good. I am saying that open defiance of court orders is not something that we've experienced. And so I have every reason to believe that they will obey the court order. Now, if they don't, we have recourse and we'll pursue that recourse. On a deeper level, your question, I would simply say this. Just because they may not do the right thing does not absolve us of the responsibility of doing the right thing. We're going to seek legal recourse, and if they disobey a court order, then that's on them. But we're going to seek those orders, and we're going to insist that they be followed.
Paul, you want to talk about that?
So really, the key issue here is I think most sheriffs in the state do fully honor ICE detainers and provide notification. The issue becomes when they have a lawful reason to be released, bail, released by judicial order. The jail cannot hold that person beyond that point in time. That's the fundamental issue. There is not a lack of cooperation. There is just some legal boundaries. We've had some conversations with ICE about this. We think that there may be some things that could be worked out, but I don't think that's the core issue that we're really dealing with here.
Can I simply say that it puts Minnesota in a very difficult position, because if such a person were held beyond a period of time when the state court has the authority to hold them, then the state court is exposing itself to liability. So ICE just has to show up and do its job.
That's the fundamental question here. And that's the fundamental argument they keep making. We cooperate. We don't do their job. You saw it this week with rural, conservative Cottonwood County. Sheriff had someone, told them this person's time is done. We can't just hold them indefinitely. It's against the law. So we're going to release this guy. Come and get him. They're too busy up here doing what they did yesterday to go pick up someone who actually should be removed from this country. And I don't know how many times they try and confuse the people across this country. It's their job to do immigrations and customs enforcement. It's law enforcement's job to do law enforcement in Minnesota. They are not doing immigration enforcement saying we should be doing that, while they're apparently now trying to do extrajudicial law enforcement on our streets. So this is a red herring. It's untrue. The Attorney General of the United States put falsehoods into a letter she sends to me that we are doing what's asked of us, but we're not going to do your job for you. We have other things we need to do.
Attorney General, how concerned are you getting back to the evidence?
Right.
That you might not get access to his camera footage, and that you might not get to the bottom of whether it's carrying an ID.
I am deeply concerned about the preservation of evidence, which is why we went to court last night. But I have faith in Judge. Have faith in Judge Tonsru's order that it will be followed, and I can tell you that Minnesota officials are going to do everything we can to get to the truth. And again, as a prosecutor, I am not allowed to say what the final outcome is going to be. We have to get the evidence and find out. But if you're asking me, Tom, if I'm concerned, you better believe I am concerned. But look, they've got the order. Now they're going to defy the court if they don't follow it.
As a quick follow, you met with Vice President Vance when he was in town on Thursday, if I understand.
I did.
Can you tell us about what the tenor of that meeting was? His goal was to turn down the temperature. 2 days later, there was this shoot.
Well, I guess it didn't work, huh? I mean, here's the thing. Governor Walz and I were in Congress together for 12 years before both of us went to go serve in the state government. We're used to talking to these folks. Why not see if there's something that can be arrived at? I can tell you that it was a polite meeting. I can also tell you that I walked out of there thinking that we probably weren't going to get anywhere. Because quite honestly, a few hours late, not even hours, a few minutes later, he just got up there and just articulated the same talking points he made to me in the meeting. I tried to correct him. He didn't want to hear that. And so I'm like, well, welcome to Minnesota. Thank you very much. You both of us have things to do. So see you later. And I left. It wasn't cordial enough, but it was not fruitful. But look, I just think that, and I'm sure the governor agrees. If you can try to talk to somebody sensibly, we do. But that one didn't get where we had hoped.
One more before I really get to Washington Post. Do you know if the federal agents who are directly around Freddie during the time of the shooting are still out on the street in Twin Cities or anywhere else in Minnesota?
Don't know.
Don't know. They don't talk to us. They don't tell us. They don't.
With the BCA being denied access to the scene after getting a warrant, is there recourse for them that way, or do you feel that this restraining order that you obtained requiring the federal government to preserve evidence is that recourse?
So there are certain legal strategy decisions that I'm not at liberty to just go on about in a meeting like this one. What I can tell you is that both the warrant and the TRO are evidence of our resolve. And we are going to get to the truth of what happened to Mr. Alex Preddy and to the truth of what happened to Renee Good. And that's what we're pledging. And we're going to use every legal means to do that. So I can't tell you, I'm not at liberty to tell you what you're asking me, but I am here to assure the public and who's listening that we are going to get to the truth of this matter, and we won't be deterred and we won't be denied.
Just a quick one for Judge Gibbs. We did see BCA agents at the shooting scene this morning. Can you confirm what they were doing there?
Absolutely. The question is about whether or not the BCA agents were on the scene of the shooting this morning, and they were continuing to collect evidence that they've seen. They're also doing some canvassing of the neighborhoods. I don't want to get into any more of the investigative process in this, but at the BCA, we are going to continue to investigate this shooting. based on whatever evidence we're able to get, and we appreciate the Attorney General assisting us with the temporary restraining order to make sure that the federal government is retaining evidence that will be available, we would assume, to us at a later time. But the investigation will not pause. We are continuing to work on anything and everything that we possibly can.
I'm just going to close. I'm going to close with one thing that I promised the parents, with Michael and Susan. And I speak to all Americans on this over these last 24 hours, what you saw. You're now knowing more about this young man. Beloved by his family, accomplished ICU nurse, skillful in ability to work with veterans, someone who's beloved by community, no criminal record, lawful firearms owner. And you know what you saw. And then you heard the most powerful people in the world, certainly in this country, President, Vice President, Greg Bovino, Kristi Noem, narrate to you what you were looking at, that this was a domestic terrorist, crazed, running at law enforcement with the intent to kill massive numbers of them, sullying his name within minutes of this event happening, and then closing the crime scene, sweeping away the evidence, defying a court order, and not allowing anyone to look at it. I don't care if you are conservative and you are flying a Donald Trump flag, you're a libertarian, don't tread on me, you're a democratic socialist of America. This is an inflection point, America. If we cannot all agree that the smearing of an American citizen and besmirching everything they stood for and asking us not to believe what we saw, I don't know what else to tell you. This has to be the moment. Your government, here in Minnesota, I've made it clear, I'm accountable for things that happen here, and I will take responsibility for that. Someone has to be accountable. Someone has to hold the final decision on this. And sitting behind a keyboard at 2 a.m. and besmirching a VA nurse and a son and a coworker and a friend is despicable beyond all description. This is not, we need to see both sides. This is not, we need to wait for this. This is basic human decency. And at this point in time, I'm just asking, try for a moment to set aside the political side of it and go back and ground in the humanity of this. This family has gone through enough, and to have the most powerful man in the world drag their dead son with absolutely no evidence and gaslight the entire country, this is enough. And I would say, President Trump, you can end this today. Pull these folks back. Do humane, focused, effective immigration control. You've got the support of all of us to do that. Let our law enforcement continue to do what they do, making Minnesota one of the safest states in the country, one of the best places to live. Allow our children to go back to school. We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Maybe
Wow.
you screw up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now. And I
ain't gonna lie, Chad.
will go back to it again. Please.
I ain't gonna lie, Chad. I agree with Tim Walsh on this one. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit, they're going too far now. Something has to be done. They need to figure out something, but something has to be done. Because according to that video, they didn't have to kill that man. They'd already took the gun. Yeah, I'm with Tim Walsh on this one. Something has to be done, Chad, about what's going on, because guess what? It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. But, at the same time, everybody voted for this, right? So But something has to be done. That's all I got to say about that, chat. Something has to be done.
Show some decency, pull these folks out, reset this situation, and allow us to do the job that the Attorney General, myself, were elected to do, protect the people of Minnesota and carry out the laws of Minnesota. We'll be back with you when we get more information.
All right, you're just listening in there to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
All right, we just got the update, chat. I just wanted to come in real quick and play this and see what the people think. Did ICE go too far on this one? And around 60% of the people say yes. And I think so too. They're going a little bit too far, you know, because see, all they're going to do is go label those people terrorists. So that's why, in my opinion, people just need to just stay out of the way and let, you know, because that's what the American people voted for. They voted for this, right? And, you know, Trump said that this was what's going to happen, and everybody voted for it. So in my opinion, people that just need to let them do their job or whatever it is that they're trying to do, let them do it. And then reevaluate and pass judgment and change everything at the voting polls. Because what's going to happen, Chad? More of this is going to happen. You know, more of this is going to happen. And this guy that they just killed was a nurse, worked with veterans, served in the military, went to the military for nursing, which is crazy. And, you know, my youngest daughter tomorrow is going to the military for nursing. So it kind of touched me a little bit, you know, because I got my youngest daughter is on the way to the Army right now. Tomorrow's her day to go and hit the road. So, and I will be going live for that tomorrow, so y'all can see my daughter actually going to the military. Her day to go in is tomorrow. So I think I'm ending right here, chat. I will go live a little bit later. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I just had to get this out. You know, while I'm out here on the road, I had to get this out. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. We got 400 people, almost 500 people in the building. Thank y'all for coming and rocking with me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified, you know. And with the vote, we got 460 votes. 60% of the people said that ICE went too far. And on this channel and the people that come through, you know, it's majority of the time it's 50-50. We got people on both sides that come rock with this channel. And out of 465 votes, 60% says ICE went too far on this one. And I believe they went too far as well. So if somebody get in their business, they need to just handcuff them and detain them. They don't have to kill them, you know? And that's my take on that, chat. I love and I appreciate y'all. Was disarmed with both hands on the ground. Right. Yep. They was wrong. They was out of line. But we got to realize, and what most Americans got to realize at this point, is that they're treating people that do those type of things, interfere with their business, they treating it like it's terrorists. That's how they're treating. They already said it. If you interfere with our business, our job is homeland security. We're trying to get the illegals out of here. And if you interfere with that, You are a terrorist. That's what they're saying. So, and in my opinion, you just got to stay out of their business and go to the polls and go that way, or peaceful protests. Don't try to get in the middle of the line of fire. Don't do it, because they already got the green light, Chad. They got the green light, you know, and all they're going to say, the people voted for this, and they right. And they right. So with that being said, guys, appreciate y'all for joining. Appreciate y'all for voting. I'm going to end the vote right now. We got 500 votes. We need one more vote. Thank you for the 500 vote. And the poll is still the same. 60% say that he went too far, that ICE went too far. 40% say they didn't go too far. And my vote is yes, they went too far. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate y'all for coming and rocking with me. If you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel right now. And with that being said, I'm out.